Hello. How are you? You get a haircut? I can't hear you. You're on mute. You're still on mute, by the way.
Oops, I was saying, no, it's just my shower.
Nice.
And I will put a
Nice.
message on the chat before starting and all good.
Cool. Good to see everybody. GM.
Do you want to present at the end Genesis, by the way?
Sure. Yeah. That'd be great. I could try to save like 10 minutes for it.
Yeah. And regarding Dev Connect, so I think normally you will be on 11 November, something like this for the Is Global Preparation, which we are hosting.
11.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that Tuesday or something?
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah.
Tuesday. Okay. I see here. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. And we could do it in like the evening or like at night.
I think you have all the
Half day.
half day, yeah, afternoon,
Oh, okay. So like after 2 or something or
yeah.
okay, perfect. Cool. Thank you. Um, Easy. Well, we'll start getting the ball rolling for that. See if maybe Austin can provide some bounty, or not bounty, but like some stuff for drinks, and then I can get food or something. So figure it out.
Yes, yes. All right, so I pin people about the session. Wait, classroom. It's a marathon, actually.
Yeah, you're in Argentina now, right?
Yes, I
What time
am.
is it? What time is it right now? There,
It's 11.
11 a.m. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's only 3 hours. So it's like East Coast time, basically, or a little further east.
All right, I think we can start. People will join with time as usual.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Thank you so much again, everybody, for taking the time to be here. Excited today to talk to you guys about kind of like the last, I said, I think it's like the last thing that you probably want to like do when you're building an app is like hook up your smart contract to the front end. And we're going to talk about scaffolding hooks and components. And yeah, just basically, we're just going to build something. And then I'm going to walk you guys through that process of like actually implementing this stuff in your front end. And so that will be a good kind of like, learn by doing experience, right? So let's share our screen. Let's get going. Cool. All right. So if you have been following along, we've done this intro to blockchain. We did the EVM and Solidity. We skipped over the introduction to the graph and data indexing, but I do recommend you guys maybe look at that section. There's a replay in there. Data indexing is a really important thing, and so you'll probably end up needing it. So that's just a really good like async course you can take. But we're going to focus on this one here, which is basically full stack development, right? So how do you get the front end hooked up to your smart contract? We've kind of been focused on smart contract, which is great. As always, you can watch a replay of this, of what I'm doing today. But to do this, we're just going to basically spin up a new project, right? And I'm going to walk you guys through the process of uh, integrating some very basic functionality of a smart contract into the front end, okay? So you can just spin up a new project really quickly. This one's going to be very like hands-on. I'm just going to be building it. And then we're going to go through the docs, as we build. But you'll need to just spin up a new project. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And we're going to use hard hat. And it's going to go ahead and set up a project. So this is the same thing that you guys have been doing on the first session, and then, to set up scaffold ETH. And we're going to be focused on scaffold.io and this docs section here. So just click docs. And there's two main things that you're going to want to focus on here in this docs page. One is components, and the next is interacting with your smart contract. So the components are all React components that are reusable to do different things. And the hooks are all ways that you can read, write, listen to events, use an external contract ABI, transact and create like a pop-up, like all the stuff you can do programmatically with a smart contract, you'll use a hook, okay? So my project is set up. So let's go into that directory here. And let's do this, just make sure your yarn install is done, which it is, okay? So we're gonna do yarn chain, just like we did before. And then we're gonna come into the same directory and we're gonna do yarn start. Then we're gonna go into the same directory and do yarn deploy. You're gonna have those like engraved in your head. So that's just gonna deploy the contract that comes with scaffold ETH, right? Just to make sure everything's working. It worked. We get our contract address, how much gas was spent, all that stuff. Okay. So let's load this project up in Cursor. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make some very basic changes in the smart contract. Okay. And the reason why we want to do this is we're just going to build an UI for the contract. And so I'm going to use the same example that I used on the first day. I'm going to create this new address variable that is called boss. Okay. So the boss is basically going to be just like an address that you can set, and anyone's going to be able to set it. And so it's kind of like just a very simple example, right? So we'll do a function, set boss. We'll pass in an address. It'll be public. We'll not use the modifier because we just want to make it so anyone can do it. And we'll set the boss to the boss. Okay, so very, very simple. Just same thing we did. And you might want to this is to set the boss. So this is how you do comments, right? Okay. And you probably would want to eventually look at understanding what nat spec is, but we're just putting a little simple comment here. So we have an address and we have a way to set the address, right? Nothing fancy. Okay, so let's redeploy those changes. So make sure you save the file and then go and redeploy those changes. Okay, while that's doing that, there we go. Okay, it was successful. Okay, so what do we want to do now? Well, let's load up scaffold ETH. And, up to this point, I've just been having you go into scaffold ETH and go to the debug contract tab and then finding your stuff and then making changes there, right? Because that's one of the beauties of scaffold ETH is you can just assume that if you've made changes to your contract, you don't have to build out a whole UI. But at some point, you want to build a more pretty application, right? So I don't know why it's so slow right now, but let's see. It's coming any minute now. While it's doing that, let me check the chat. No questions? Okay. All right, so this is nothing new, right? We've seen this. And we have our wallet connected. Oh, no, we don't have our wallet connected. I don't know why it's so slow right now. There it goes. Okay. Our wallet's connected. And we can go to the debug contracts and we can see probably that our change is there. And here it is. We have the boss and we have the set boss. But what we want to do now is build an app. Okay, so let's go back to our project and let's just close the contract for now. We're not going to use hard hat really anymore. We're going to focus on Next.js today. Now, One of the things you'll learn is that we use in Scaffold we use app router, which is basically this app folder that does, URL-based routing based on the folder structure. So the very root application is this main page right here. So slash is this page file. If you went to slash debug, you would go to this page, right? If you go to slash block explorer, you would go to this page. And so it's really easy to build apps because you just create the folder you want and then you're good to go. But we want to operate in this main page file right here, okay? And it tells you that right here. This is where you go to edit your page. And what I want to do is just basically get rid of everything inside of the fragment. So in React, we have this concept of a fragment. And so what I can do here is just grab all this code in the fragment here and get rid of it, okay? And so it'll be empty. When I save it, we'll get this blank slate, right? We don't want to get rid of the header because the header is quite useful. And we don't want to get rid of the footer because it's also quite useful. We really want to focus on just building inside of this main page, which is, right here. We can modify the header later if we wanted to, and the footer header as needed, but we're going to focus on this part, okay? So what do we want to do? Well, first of all, we want to know first of all, we want to have some kind of like nice thing there that looks better than just blank space. So what I like to do is go to, Daisy UI? Wow, my computer's really slow right now. I don't know why. I hope something that I need to like reboot or something weird. Okay, we're gonna go to Daisy UI, and we're gonna look at their components. Now, I love Daisy UI because we use Daisy UI, and there's a bunch of cool components that you can just reuse to do different things. So I always like to show the card because it's pretty useful. So we'll take the card, and here's an example of what it looks like. It's this little Nike card. And we just come here and grab the JSX. Okay, so this is the JavaScript or the JSX file. So we're going to grab that and we'll put it in our app. So I want to put it right here in the middle, basically. Oop, right there. Okay. So if we come back to our scaffolding app, we'll have this little like card. Pretty easy, right? So now what we want to do is probably like wrap it in another div. And you can see AI is helping me a little bit. So if you don't have, what is it? Microsoft, I'm totally blanking right now. Basically the code assistant, it's really useful to have that set up. It will kind of like help you format your text. So now it's centered it, I think. There we go. And we probably want to do justify center. I think it's maybe items center. Let's see. I want to have it up here and then just have some padding. So I'll do like padding. So this is all stuff that you can like toy around with. This is, AI will help you as well. So there you go. So it looks kind of nice. It's all right. I'll do padding like 6. Either way, it's cool. This is what we're going to use. And we don't want the picture, so we can remove the picture right here. And then we'll just have the card, right? And we'll change it to who is the boss. And we'll get rid of this paragraph. And we'll make a button that says set boss. Okay. So we want to know who the boss is. So I just saved it. And we want to set the boss. So we want this button to work. So how do we do that? So if we go to Scaffold ETH docs, right? And we come to the components, you can see here that there is the address component, which is probably the first component you'll use, which it basically takes like an address and makes it look really nice with a little copy paste thing. And so we need to figure out who the boss is. So in order to do that, we actually need to read from the contract first. So we need to come here to use scaffold read contract, and we need to initialize some data on some kind of object. So there's an example here. So let's just copy it here, right? And let's paste it up here. So I think we need to paste it here. Yes. So you'll see here that this is, when I paste it in, it says, well, you don't have this installed. See, it's like tilted out. So you can just click Quick Fix if you're using VS Code or Cursor, and then add it. And it will import it for you here. And then that will go away. And we don't want to get the total counter. We just want to get the boss. So the function, so remember what I said on the first day is like if you create a variable in Solidity, it creates a get for the variable, and it is the name of the variable. So this is actually a function kind of, and it doesn't take any arguments. And so you'll see because we're using types, it's very like type safe. So it knows, well, you can't use an argument here. You need to get rid of that. It's undefined. So we can remove that. Okay. There we go. So now we'll call it the current boss. Okay. So what are we doing? We created some data called current boss by calling use scaffold read contract, calling your contract, which is the name of our contract here. And we pass in the function name, which is the variable name. So anytime you want to get a variable, you just pass it in as the name. There we go. So now we can set the boss here. So if we do it like this, if you're probably used to like putting variables in, sorry, it's current boss. Yeah. Let's get rid of this. AI sometimes is like too helpful, especially when you're trying to teach. Okay, current boss. And if I come over here, let's look at it. Oh my gosh, why is it not loading? Did I save it? Oh, the current boss is empty. So, oh yeah, the current boss is 0x0000. Sorry, it's not empty. I lied. It just wasn't refreshing. So this is super ugly, right? So we want to use a component, an address component instead. And so how do we do that? We just come to address and we can look at the syntax. So all we need to do is import address from components, which is, we put it up here. It's actually already there. It's right there, see? And we need to wrap our variable inside of this component. So there's an address parameter, and it takes in an address string. And so what we can do is just wrap this in an address. So we can just actually get rid of this. Oh, there we go. AI helped us, and we said address equals current boss. And you can see where I just wrap it in and display it there. And so now if I come back, scaffolding is going to look a lot better, right? We could probably wrap this in like another div if we wanted to, something like this. See if that looks better. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it doesn't look much better, but okay. Anyways, we have at least two of the current bosses. So who is the boss? It's blank. So now we want a way to set the boss, right? So how do we do that? Well, there's a hook for that. There's a way to write to the contract. Okay, so just like we want to read from the contract with this one, for this one, it's a little more complicated. We have this concept of a asynchronous function or an asynchronous call, I guess you would say. And in order to do that, you need to define a asynchronous function that's called write your contract async. So you can name it whatever you want, but in this case, we name it write your contract async. And we use the scaffold write contract object, and we pass in the contract name. So again, we can just copy this and we can paste it right here below our other thing. And now same thing, it says we don't have this installed. So we can go quick fix and then add it, and it will put it here. And then that little kind of thing will go away. And then now there's an example down below on how to use the button. So we can just copy this right here, really, because this is a whole button, and replace this button with that, like this. And instead of set greeting, we'll set boss. And then let's just let it syntax, and you'll see there's some errors. So what do we got? We have some errors. Well, we're creating an asynchronous function here that references the contract called your contract. And we're calling that by using use write contract. And we're naming it this. And then when we're trying to use it, the types, again, are wrong. It knows that we're not passing in the right thing. It wants to pass an argument here, which is kind of correct. And that's because we do have a set greeting function. So this is actually all working. One thing that we're trying to use here is parse ether, which is a extension, or sorry, a VM utility, and it's missing. So we need to maybe add that, but we're actually not going to use that. So I'm just going to remove it for now. And we also aren't calling set greeting. We're trying to call set boss, right? And we're also not trying to pass the string. We're trying to pass the connected address. So we need to put that. Oh, sorry, not the connected address. We need to have a place for people to type in a boss, right? We want people to be able to put their own address in, right? So we need to kind of come back to this. We could make it so that the connected address gets set as the boss, and we could do that by like determining who the connected address is, and then the button would just like set the boss to whoever was connected with their wallet. Let's do that now, actually, just to show you what that would look like. So we could come here and say use account. So there's another functionality of WagMe that lets you get the current wallet that's connected. And so here we're using use account from WagMe to get the current address connected, and then we can use that. So if I save this, it should work, and it will let me set the boss to my address here. So let's just temporarily do that. Let's see if it works. I don't have enough for gas. I need some funds. Now I can click set boss, and it was successful. So there we go. So now I set me as the boss, okay? So very simple, kind of walk through how you go through that stuff. Let me see if there's any questions. Got the link? Okay, cool. Any questions so far?
Looks
I
okay.
think the front end looks good. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. What I would say is that AI will help you a lot with this stuff, right? Like you're probably going to do less and less of this as the time goes on, but there's going to be times where you're going to want to like get into like writing your own front end code, and so like doing it yourself is kind of a pain, and so having these hooks and components are really, really useful, I would say, because they're already written for you. You don't have to write them, and they're very simple. They seem more complicated than they are actually. Like after you start getting in the cycle of building a contract and then going through here and copy pasting and building stuff, you'll get more comfortable with it. I was trying to follow, but later I'll watch the class again. Yeah, so I would say just this is more of like a, hey, you watch me build something, and then later on you try to replicate it kind of thing. I don't want you guys to feel like you have to follow along. The instructions go through everything pretty much. I'm not done yet, by the way. I still have some more stuff to show, but yeah, these instructions are, they give you this kind of example of what the code should look like when it's done. But I would just, like go through and then, here's the starting point. This is how you add the component from Daisy UI. This is how you add an address and a balance component. So there's a lot of good examples that will help you walk through here, or you can just rewatch the video. Let's see. Just want to know the role we would find would be full stack solidity. So a lot of I would say in crypto, there's a lot of full stack developers, and that's basically mostly because there's not a lot of front end developers. So if you're coming from a traditional Web 2 background, usually it's very separated. You have like backend engineers that write in like Python or Go and stuff like that. But in blockchain, it's a very much like closed community, so there's not as many devs, and so learning front end is like super valuable, I would say. So it's probably one of the most important things because you need good UX and UI to have a good application, and so it's something I would recommend everyone focuses on. So, okay, any other questions? Can we use lovable? Yeah, of course. I mean, we can actually show off some AI stuff in a little bit here. I mean, I could show off AI right now, but I want to walk you guys through it. I mean, lovable is great. There's also v0.dev, which is the for cells AI generation stuff for front end. But at some point, you're going to need to get in the code and like maybe troubleshoot something. So, with scaffold ETH, you can't say, hey, go to Lovable or v0 dev and say, hey, build me a scaffold ETH app. It's not going to do that. It's going to use like React, just basic React or something like that. I use like Vite or something. It's going to use some kind of like React project. But I would really recommend you just dive into this and learn each component. So, okay, let's keep going. Okay, so where were we at? So right now, let's walk through the code one more time and then we'll keep going. Okay, so what did we do so far? Well, the first thing is we went into the page DSX file. We basically wiped out everything inside of the fragment, right? Right. We can actually do like this. We'll do a git diff. We can see what we added. We added the function set boss. We added a new variable called boss into the contract, right? We deployed that contract, and then this is kind of what we erased and what we added. So we utilized the use scaffold read contract function. We are utilizing the use scaffold write contract function. And then we just put in some boilerplate code here to be able to like have this button and this card. Okay. And then what I want to do now is make it a little more where it's not just the button that you press. There's a field where you add some input. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, we want a user to be able to type in an address. So Scaffold ETH has a component for that. It's called address input. And it will let someone type in their address or their ENS name, and it will resolve it for you. Okay. So it's pretty easy. The only thing that's different about this is we need to put as the user's typing each key on the keyboard, we need to put their keys or their characters into what's called state. So if you've ever used React, you always have to use state for something. So what we want to do is to use this state right here. And so what is that? State is basically like a temporary memory where you can store that information. So we're going to go quick fix and import that from React. So it's going to add it right here, import use state. And it's going to have two things. It's going to have the ability to set some state and get the data back. Okay, so this is where the data is stored, and this is where we set the data. Okay. So that's all we need is just this little state object. This is like memory. Think of it like memory. And now we just need an address input component. So here it is. So this is the component from Scaffold ETH. It's called address input. And we can put it right above the button. Oh, it already knows what I want to do. So this is the nice thing about AI. It's going to help you. It seems like a lot, but you'll be surprised what AI can do. So what is it? It's address input. And it's taking in the value of the address, which is coming from state. Sorry, it's not this. It's actually this right here. And on change, it's actually might not be right. So let's replace this. That's what we want. So you'll see here that it's missing. Same thing, quick fix. Oh wait, why is that not working? Address input. Okay, I'm not sure why it didn't let me fix it there, but all I did was come up here to where the components are in Scaffold ETH. So basically with Scaffold ETH, you'll be doing these two things. You'll either be adding components here, or you'll be adding hooks. Ooh, right here. Okay. And so depending on what you're trying to do, what kind of component you're trying to use or what kind of hook you're trying to use, you just add them. And then you reference them down here inside of the actual component. So this itself is a wrapped, I don't know what the word is, but in React, you have this kind of like object. And inside there, you define all of your logic, right? So it needs to go inside of this object. And then here we have all of this code. So what do? We have a button. Now we have an address input and we're storing that value in address. So what do we need to fix? Well, we don't want the address to be the connected address that we set anymore. We want it to be the address, which is the value here. So we're going to change that to address like that and save it. And so let's go back to scaffold ETH. Oh no, we're going to error. Okay, did it work? Yay, it worked. Okay. So now we can set anybody to the loss. So we can do Vitalik ETH. Now you see how nice it is? It does the ENS resolution for us. It shows his little profile picture, right? And it lets us set the boss. There we go. And it was successful. So you see kind of the flow, we've kind of created this basic contract. We needed to figure out how to build it. And we just utilized, all the hooks and components. There's more components. I'm not going to go over all of them. But there's one for the balance of an address. Like if I wanted to get the balance of my address, I could do that. I can show it real quick. So I could say like, oh, well, I want to get the balance now. And I want to get the balance of the connected address here. Or we could get the balance of the boss, actually. That might work too. We could say like, who is the boss? It's here. And what is his balance? Right there. So we added the component balance. We added it here into the app, which is inside of the div. And we reference the current boss, and then we'll have a little display for him right below his name that will have his balance. There it is, right next to him. So he has 0 ETH, which is not true, but on my machine, he's only got 0 ETH. So if I was to send Vitalik some money right here, so this is like another faucet we have down here that I didn't show, but I can send Vitalik .eth, I don't know, 0.25 ETH. So now he's going to have some ETH. There we go. Now he's got $1,000. Cool. So you see what I did. It's very simple. You just add a component, reference that component here, and then you can get some data, right? What else? Let's see. There's Ether input too, right? You can add a little button to like take in ETH, and you can also toggle between like US dollars and the price of, or the native asset, which is like whatever you're doing, ETH. There's also a basic input, which is like the same format, but it lets you just put like a URL or something in there. There's other hooks to get like data and stuff like that, but I'm not going to go into those. You probably won't really use those for a while because you'll probably just be building like, you'll probably be using like other stuff like APIs and like the graph or something for data, but you can get access to data. We didn't talk a lot about data and stuff like that. If we would have had that other session, you would have learned about what are called events, which are kind of like logs. And so with Solidity, you have the ability to log data to an event. So anything you want to like keep track of in your front end, you can create an event. And so like as an example, like if I can just show you real quick, if we went to our contract here and we wanted to make sure that every time that a boss was set, that we knew who that new boss was, right? We would need an event to do that, similar to how we have one for the greeting when it changes, right? So we would say, well, let's create an event and we'll call it boss change. And every time that the new boss is changed, put who changed it and who he changed it to, right? So it has 2 different variables. And then you can just emit that event. So this idea of emitting is kind of like a log. You think of it just like logging it. And so now every time the message sender sets the boss, we will get an event. And if I wanted to, I could redeploy my contract right here, and then I could use this to get the data and display it in my front end. So really, really powerful, I guess, if you just want to get some very basic data. Okay, so I know that's a lot, but I think the front end stuff is one of those things that you just have to kind of like, either A, use AI or B, like become a master at it because it takes a while to really like be a really good front end dev. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Let's see what we got here. Okay, why did the second function take an argument and the first didn't? Good question. Because so like if we look at our contract, so if you're ever like trying to like figure it out, go to debug contracts and you can see what functions take address like variables and what don't. Like there's a withdraw button, right? It's a withdraw and it doesn't take anything. So if we needed to like call that asynchronous, we wouldn't want to pass anything. We would just want to be able to let users withdraw everything with that. But in the case of setting a boss, we have to pass an argument, right? And then there's also optional fields. So like payable is a type of function, which means that it can withdraw like value. I didn't go over that on the first day, but like this function here called set greeting is a payable function, which means it can take ETH basically as value. So in other words, if I wanted to set the boss and also allow people to send ETH into the contract at the very same time, I would need to make this payable, right? And once I make it payable, let's go ahead and deploy our changes real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to deploy my new contract. Okay. There you go. And so now if I come back to my thing and I would want someone to be able to add, let's say we want to let them add some ETH in the contract, right? Let's see how easily I could do this. So right now I have an input for address and maybe I need to add an input for amount of ETH, right? So I'm kind of spitballing here and trying to teach you guys something that's pretty useful. So ether input, we want to use this. Also, we need state, right? So let's grab some state. And let's put it up here at the top because we need to keep track of the amount of ETH that people want to add in the transaction. And we'll have this ether input here. So we'll put it right below the address input, which is here. Boom. Now it's missing, so we need to quick fix and add it. And that's it. Yeah. Okay. Now the difference is on this, now that we've made this function payable, right here, sorry, where's it at? Well, it's in the contract. It's here, it's payable. It now can accept ETH. So if someone does actually type in some ETH, we also want to pass that as value in the transaction. So parse ether is a utility in VM. So we can do quick fix and import it, and it will add it up here. Where's it at? There it is, parse ether. Now what that does is it lets someone type in numbers and it will figure out what it is in ETH so that the user doesn't have to type in, because we're trying to capture like user readable values. I'll show you what I mean in a sec here. All right, so let's see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work actually. This is like me spitballing and trying to show you guys one other thing. Whoa, it did work, I think. Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, so let's set the boss. So we're going to set the boss to atg.eth, Austin Griffith. There's Austin, and we're going to also send in some value of 0.1 ETH. And now we're going to set boss. And it worked. Cool. So now I paid 0.1 ETH into the contract, and I set Austin as the boss. So now if I go to the debug contracts tab, I'll see that the contract has $433. You see right here? And that's because when I set the boss, I added that. If I do vitalik.eth and don't put any value in there, then it's not going to send it, but it will update the boss. So it's like payables, this kind of like optional thing, right? So I hope that makes sense. Okay, any last questions? Oh, good question. What does get diff do? Get diff is like a way for you to see everything that's changed since the last time that you submitted all your stuff to Git. So earlier, what I was trying to show is I was trying to show that I typed git diff, and it will tell me exactly what's changed in my code. So what's useful about that is you can like kind of like audit your code and see what you've changed. And if you need to quit out of this, just hit Q and it will quit out. Okay. So this is all on my local machine that I've been doing. By the way, I have not deployed anything. So the question is it registered on the blockchain now? And it's on my local machine. I didn't deploy this contract, and I'm not going to, unfortunately. When I'm signing the transaction, it says the address is malicious. I'm not sure why. If you're on localhost, it shouldn't say that. But oh, are you using MetaMask or something like that? You should probably just be using your burner wallet. So just make sure you're disconnected, click connect, and just use burner wallet. I'm not sure why it would be telling you that. Okay. Any other questions? So I know the front end stuff's a little complicated. And let's see, just seeing if I missed any questions. If I missed any questions, retype them or copy paste them for me so I can get them. And I know someone came late. Sorry about that. You'll probably have to watch the video because this is a complicated one. It's hard to catch you up on everything. Okay, no more questions. Okay, yeah. So my advice to you guys would be just to write a very basic smart contract like I did, and just try to build a UI for it using just all these links. It's kind of like everything you need, all the answers you need are in here. And if you don't have it here, AI should help you. Don't be afraid to like just use AI and try to get it to do what you want. Like if I said, this card on page.tsx is kind of boring, make it look cooler. Don't be afraid to just try to use AI and see what it does. You can always revert, right? You can always go back and like revert your changes. And I will come over here and just see what it does because I'm always curious to see. So it's doing some changes. Let's see if it does anything cool. So added a bunch of stuff. It shows you the dates. Now we can refresh. It looks the same to me. Doesn't look any different. Unless it's just not reloading properly or it's failing. Oh, it's failing. Let's see here. So it's trying to use some like icons or something like that. So sometimes it's not the best at what it does, but sometimes you can figure out what the issue is. So it's trying to use this crown icon, so we could fix it here. If you see these little tildes after AI has done its thing, and it's going to go through and try to fix those. It should automatically try to fix linting errors, but sometimes it doesn't. It's going through and doing it. Cool. There it did. So now we'll refresh again. Let's see. And then you can kind of see what it did, right? Like you can use AI to your advantage, right? Like AI is cool because it will teach you. And so we can see some of the stuff that it did, right? And we get rid of it and say, okay, cool. It like did some formatting stuff. It did some labels. It did some like is loading to like make it look pretty. Oh, that's way better. See, I suck as a front-end engineer. This is way, way, way better. You can totally tell it's built by AI, but it's pretty cool. So now we can set the address to atg.eth. We can put some ETH in here, 0.25. Challenge and become boss. Nice. Okay. There we go. Did it work? Yeah, there it goes. All right, cool. So my point is just don't be afraid to use AI and stuff like that. Okay, I want to see if there's any more questions, and then I want to cover one other thing. Yes, definitely use AI. Cool. I'm not sure some of these other questions, how to answer them, but let's see. Page we edit through. Yeah, so you might edit other pages, of course. Like the main page.tsx is where I would start and then go from there. And definitely use AI. How many files did you edit code? I'm not sure how to answer that. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So let's let's talk about something else that I'm working on. Okay, so recently, I would say probably in the last like year or so, I've been trying to build a tool called Genesis. I think I started this about 4 or 5 months ago, and the main reason why I built it is I do a lot of these community education classes, and I help out, all over the world. And I see there's a lot of like decentralization in crypto, and there's a lot of people that are in, areas of the world that maybe don't get access to go to events. Maybe they are doing learning like you guys are, and they're like maybe doing a lot of vibe coding, and they need access to experts and like mentors. And so this Genesis platform is a way for people to connect, and do that through mentorship. So what's cool is you can come on here and connect your wallet, or you can sign in with email. It's up to you. And when you do, you can create like a profile. So you can come in here, put your name, your email address, and verify your email. And you can then connect your social handles. So your GitHub, your X, LinkedIn. So you almost create like your own little profile. And then you can say what skills that you're really good at, and you can say what skills that you want to learn, right? And so once you set this up, and you can also say what languages you speak. And once you set this up, you can also set up a public profile and to say whether you're open to work opportunities. And it will create a profile for you. So if we go to community, we can take a look at my profile here, Kevin, and we'll take a look. And it will build out this really cool page for you. And it's kind of like a digital resume, and you can add projects that you've been working on. So if you've worked on something, you can put it in here. You can add an image, you can put the GitHub URL and a live demo. And if you worked with anyone else, you can put their name here, and it will show up here as a project. If it's a little green check mark, that means it comes from the GitHub account that you've connected to. And you can also join communities. So you can see like I'm in a bunch of communities, and those communities are all listed here under the featured communities tab. And so if you can see there's one for Dev3Pack, and you can come in here and join. I'm not a member. I just joined Dev3Pack. All right, cool. And you can get access to all their information. And occasionally you'll see events through here. This will grow as time goes by. Like we'll have like live streams for events. We'll have hackathons. We'll have incubators. There's a lot of stuff that I'm planning to add to here. But for right now, you can just like join that community. And you can also create your own community. So if you want to start a community like in your local area, or if you're a member of like an existing, it doesn't necessarily have to be just crypto. It could be like a Web2 community. I'm really open to adding other communities. Or if you just want to find an existing community and join that, then that's cool too. And you can be in as many communities as you want. And then you can also find mentors as well. So once you sign up for the platform, you can come in here and you can find mentors. And so in this case, we have some mentors available, and you can browse through them. Here is Mahima Thacker, and you can see all the stuff she's good at. You can see her GitHub, her Twitter, her LinkedIn, and she has a mentorship that you can purchase. Some of them are, right now they're all free. Eventually people will be able to charge for their mentorships. And once you purchase this mentorship, you'll be able to connect with Mahima and schedule a session with her to do one-on-one mentorship. So really cool platform for that. And I would love to have you guys all register. Right now there's only 7 active mentors, but it's growing growing quickly. There's 24 communities that have been added. And again, that's growing pretty quickly. And I would love to have you guys on the platform. Okay. And yeah, let me share the link real quick. It's here. Oh, someone already shared it. Okay, cool. Yes, and I would love to have all of you guys register. I would recommend using a wallet, by the way. You can use email, but sometimes it gets confusing because it generates a wallet for you under the hood through Privy. And yeah, it's just easier if you have your own wallet. So if you have MetaMask, use that. If you have like Rainbow, that's another good wallet on your phone. Use that, something like that. Okay. It doesn't work in India. Interesting. I was in India and it was working for me, but maybe connect to VPN and see. That looks like a status access violation. That's kind of weird. That might be like something with, huh, interesting. Okay, I don't know. That might be something else with your browser. So kind of like a portfolio. Yeah, it's a portfolio slash community tool, and I would love to see you guys use it. If you have feedback, by the way, I'm really interested in learning what would be good to add to it. If you have UX problems, please reach out to me. I think I've told you guys my Telegram is Kevin Jones Creates, and I'm also in the Dev 3 Pack group, so you can find me in there. And yeah, and then I would love to see you guys use it. Cool. Yeah, so I built this with Scaffold ETH, by the way. So that just shows you the power of Scaffold ETH. You can really build a lot of cool stuff with it. It's kind of a Web 2.5 app. So yeah, it's uses Supabase and it uses smart contracts, obviously. But yeah, it also has some learn components too. So if you want to learn like about Solidity, there's these kind of like handheld things that walk you through the code and it gives you the things. And then right now, there's NFTs you can learn as well if you take the courses. So they're like little mini courses. And you can earn like this NFT that basically like proves that you knew this technology. And then eventually these will be like badges that will be on your profile. And so you'll be able to see like all of the courses that someone's taken. And again, most of it is all free right now, so please use it and give me some feedback. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, XYZ is kind of like a Web3. Yeah, let me put my Telegram here. XYZ is like a Web3 kind of thing. I don't know why, but everyone likes to use that. So it's Kevin Jones Creates. Why is this not working? Like that. Yeah, and all my contact info is in the doc as well. My email is kevin@edgenode.com, but I would recommend Telegram's the easiest way to reach me. By the way, if you're want to get crypto, Telegram is what everyone uses. Yeah, there's also like .gg. I've seen lately people are doing .gg addresses, but I like XYZ. It's pretty cool. All right, any other questions? We ended a little early today. And I'm happy to hang out a little longer and chat with people if anyone has questions or needs advice or anything like that.
Yeah, so basically for people who are integrated the fellowship, so Kevin is already on our close private Telegram group, so you can ping him at any moment. So what's next for you after will be to take part in the bait challenges. So that will happen from next week. I will do like an introduction of that on 14. And then you're gonna have a couple of challenges until during 10 days to do. But no reason. Like if you are not managing to do it properly, that's why I'm quite flexible. It's just like I want people to at least try it. And yeah, like I mean, you will receive calendar invitation from tomorrow to take part in that. So no reason. I would guide you. All good. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for this week, for the introduction to Web3 development. Hope you enjoy it. The goal is it was just really make something as a discovery, and then we will go deeper from next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I just want to say I really appreciate everyone's like dedication to time, and I always love coming on here and teaching you guys. And if you need anything, please let me know. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So see you next week then. All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.